is really cool Quarantine, but like always, Sega feels the need to be special and give it some special name for God knows why. You'll notice that the gameplay is full of fail, and that was something I have no patience in trying to fix. The story is an interesting one. Finally! I mean, you wouldn't really be able to tell that by playing the game unless your Japanese is pretty good, as this game was only released in Japan for the Sega Saturn, and, like usual, this is the version I'll be focusing on. You're Drake Edgewater, a 21st century cab driver, and one of the lucky few unaffected by a spreading virus which is from stagnant water that contains a behaviour-altering chemical called hydrogen 344. Why they need that in the first place is Chemo City is out of fucking control. Crime rate has risen so far and the economy's collapsed and the city descended into disorder. Omnicorp are a company that stepped in and said to city officials that they would clean up Chemo and return it to normal. The corporation began the construction of a massive wall around the city under the guise of a defense measure. The wall was completed 3 years later and the only exit sealed shut, turning Chemo into a massive prison city for all inside. Which is a great idea really. Hey, I'll fix your problem by putting it into quarantine and letting everyone inside die. We'll pump the place full of chemicals and that should fix everyone. I mean, not fix the economic climate and give everyone jobs and make housing affordable, no. So you mount your vehicle with guns and do odd jobs around the place like GTA, but this predates that shit. There are a few very interesting things this game attempts to pull off. All are mostly done pretty poorly, make no mistake, while the concept is very interesting, this game sucks so hard it's able to pull my skeleton out through the eye of my penis. Looking left and right through the driver's side and passenger side windows with the ability to shoot using an Uzi is a pretty rad idea. Picking up people and parcels and dropping them off, again, it's a pretty good idea. This game is not short of good ideas. Presentation is so early 90s. I'm going to dub what I call a game that starts off so amazing and is let down by weak in-game gameplay as Congo Death, a hybrid of Congo and this game. Wikipedia assures me the Saturn version has enhanced floor and building texturing and slowdown and pixelation, which leads me to graphics are not good. They're not the worst I've seen, but that's not a positive. Slowdown and pixelation is exactly what happens. But I could let this slide mostly if it wasn't for gameplay. Frame rate is laggy and only adds to all my other frustrations with this game. Sound is one of the few areas I can genuinely say this game excels at. And I'm not being a dry, sarcastic prick when I say it. It contains songs from Australian alternative bands. As an Australian native who grew up in the 90s, I didn't even need wiki for this part. I knew all but 2 of the songs in the soundtrack, all of which, by the way, are excellent songs. Interesting choices too, and how did this game come to have such songs? Image XL are Canadian, so the whole thing is a little weird, but it is this outside of the box thinking that I really dig. Gameplay is such a letdown. This is the real letdown because everything else about this game is awesome. I mean, I can let the graphics slide here because the sound is so good and there's plenty of good ideas and the intro was good and the menu presentation was good, but your car handles like a bucket of shit. The biggest problem was I started with my Virtua Stick and driving was fucking impossible. You would press up to accelerate and it would just sit there, but you press back and it would be immediately responsive. I get that the car is actually a hover car. It's designed that way. In other words, they made it like that but then couldn't be fucked fixing it to provide accurate steering. It was released on the PC in 1994 and on the Saturn in 1996. They had 2 years to get this right. Using the control pad is way better, but it still sucks. The lasting appeal is however long you can stand the shitty controls. For me, about 30 minutes and I won't be coming back. If I want something like this, I'll be going to Carmageddon or GTA. Would I recommend this? No. You had one area to get right, just one. Gameplay. Which to me is the most important part. I would have recommended the shit out of this game if I could sit there and not get pissed off by the hampered controls. But I do get pissed off, and it ruins everything else this game had going for it. As always, thank you very much for watching. Click on the TV to see the last review, and click on the name underneath the television if you'd like to subscribe.